Disclaimer. This video is for entertainment and educational purposes. It is not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset. Please do your own research and due diligence when choosing what to invest in. Now, on to the analysis.
Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. On today's video, I wanted to talk about how I was able to add $22 to my passive income this month. And I also wanted to talk about the options that I currently have out, all of the puts and calls options that I have. And I also am going to talk about the news that came out on Bitfarms yesterday, which was the poison pill strategy that they decided to use for the hostile takeover attempt by Riot Platforms. So first off, let me talk about my options here that I have currently out. All of the contracts in total, I have 18. If you count all of these contracts, 5, 7, 9, 15, 17, 18 contracts, right? I have 12 covered call options because obviously I have 1,200 shares of Bitfarms, as you can see here. And I currently have 6 put options out right now. So what are the put options that I have out right now? I have the $3 put option. I have one of these options that I sold, and I have the 250 put options. I have 5 of these options that I've sold. Okay, all of these options are expiring August 16th. All of them. Okay, so I don't know if you noticed that, but yes. And take a look at my covered call options here. I have $3 covered call, 550 covered calls, $5 calls, 350 call. So all of these calls are above my dollar cost average of Bitfarms, which as of right now continues to be $2.53. Okay, so I'm good with that. And now my put options are $3 put options and the $2.50 put options, which means these put option contracts means that I am agreeing to buy 100 shares of Bitfarms at a price of $3 and over here a price of $2.50. So in order to hedge myself, in order to protect myself from the price of Bitfarms continuing to go down, okay, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to attempt to sell the $2 put options expiring on the same date. Okay, so we take a look here at the Bitfarms options, selling a put. Let's go to that date, August 16th. Let's see, it's easy to go to that date. Let's see. Okay, here we go, August 16th. All right, so we see here the $2 put. See, I have one of the $3 put options. I have 5 of the 250 put options. So next I'm going to try to sell the $2 put options, okay? Because this will ensure that I am able to continue to own shares of Bitfarms at a discount, okay? Right now it's trading at $2.20. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to start selling the $2 put options now. And right now for the August 16th expiration date, this option is selling for about $20, okay? We take a look here. That's the bid price right now. And the ask price is $25, okay? So it looks like I'll be able to sell these options for $20 each, okay? So we'll see how many I'm able to accumulate before August 16th. Hopefully it'll be more than one. So yeah, so if I'm able to sell this option, that means that I'll be breaking even if the price of Bitfarms goes down to $1.80, right? Because I'm agreeing to buy them for $2, but I'm getting $20, 20 cents per share for 100 shares for this contract. So that means I'm really agreeing to buy shares of Bitfarms for $1.80 by the time this contract expires, or I'll get my collateral back, which would be $200 in this case. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna try to do now with regards to the put options. Right? So we talked about the call options already. So now let's talk about how I was able to increase my passive income this month. I increased it by $22. So how did I do that? Well, I had to roll 2 of my covered call positions. Let's take a look at that. Let's go to my history here and we'll see what I did yesterday. right? That was 22 hours ago. So I had two covered calls for the $2.50 strike price expiring June 21st, which is this month. Right? And I gotta be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, I really did not want to sell my shares, which I bought for the dollar cost average of $2.53. I really didn't want to sell them back to the market at $2.50, right? So I'm glad that the price of Bitfarms did go down. I was getting worried because it was up to $2.50. It went past 250 actually this month. But it's starting to come down again. So I took that opportunity to buy this contract back. As you can see here, I bought them back for 10 cents each contract. So that cost me $20, right? But however, when I did sell these options, I sold them for 15 cents per contract. So I did get to keep $10 from these two contracts, okay? So I'm not mad about that. So I took those two covered calls and I rolled them to a later date, which is August 16th, as you can see here, and for a higher strike price, which you can see here, $3. So now I'm agreeing to sell 200 of my shares for the price of $3. So since my dollar cost average is $2.53, that means that not only am I making passive income here, but I'm also looking to make capital gains on my shares by selling them for, let's see here, 47 cents more than what they cost me currently, which is $2.53. Okay, so that's a good option to sell for me, and that was a good position to roll into for me yesterday. Okay, and how much did I make for these two contracts now? I made 21 cents per contract. So that gave me a total of $42. So I spent $20 here buying these two contracts back, and I made $42 here by selling two of these contracts now for a higher strike price and for a later expiration date. Okay, so once again, ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to wait for the contract to expire if you're not happy with it, if you no longer are willing to sell your shares at this strike price or buy shares at another strike price, you can always buy back those contracts and free up the shares that you have in collateral or the cash that you have in collateral. Okay, so that's a good thing about these selling these options, right? You don't have to wait for expiration. As long as you're winning on some of those options, you can always try to buy those contracts back. Okay, but that's the key there. You want to make sure that you're winning on them. You want to make sure that you don't buy them back for a loss. Okay. All right. So now let's talk about the news that's going on with Bitfarms, the poison pill, right? This news, as we can see here, is coming out on the Riot Platforms stock. So let's take a look at that. Yes, here it is. Riot Platforms. We can see here. It says Bitfarms to adopt poison pill amid Riot takeover attempt. So let's take a look at this article here. It says Bitcoin miner Bitfarms said on Monday it had approved the adoption of a poison pill to fend off a potential hostile takeover attempt by rival Riot Platforms. The move comes days after Riot Platforms disclosed it had built a 12% stake in Bitfarms as it pursues a takeover attempt. Riot had offered to buy Bitfarms for about $950 million last month. Bitfarms said that the shareholder price plan aimed to preserve the integrity of its previously announced strategic alternatives review process. Let's talk about this for a little bit. So Riot offered to buy Bitfarms out for $950 million. Now the current market cap of Bitfarms is close to 700 million. So how were they going to buy Bitfarms for 950 million? Well, they were going to offer to buy out the rest of their shares outstanding for the price of $2.30. But that still will not have added up to 950 million. So the rest of that money they were going to pay them by giving them shares of Riot Platforms. So that's how they were going to make up the rest of that 950 million that they offered. Like giving them shares of Riot Platforms, okay? So cash and shares. Now, poison pill plans, including shareholder rights plans, are used by corporate boards to thwart hostile takeover bids. Under Bitfarms' plan, if an entity accumulates more than 15% of Bitfarms' stake after June 20th and up to September 10th, the company would issue fresh shares, diluting the entity stake. After September 10th, the threshold would be relaxed to 20% as long as any takeover attempt meets certain conditions. So let's talk about this now. So here we see that if Riot Platforms, right, because they're the ones who are attempted to take over Bitfarms, if they accumulate more than 15% of Bitfarms shares by June 20th, then the company Bitfarms has decided to dilute the shares that that company owns. And how are they going to do that? Well, they're going to issue fresh shares of Bitfarm shares to other shareholders, not Bitfarm, not Riot Platforms. Sorry about that. So they're going to issue more shares at a significant discount to current shareholders of Bitfarms. We don't know how significant that discount would be, right? Bitfarms is not going to make a lot of money from diluting shares at this time because their attempt is just to avoid the hostile takeover attempt from Riot. So that basically means that us shareholders of Bitfarms, right, we would either be assigned new shares of Bitfarms for free or at a very low price compared to the market price at the moment. So that could mean we could be owning more shares of Bitfarms for free or at a significant lower price than what it currently is at the market, which is $2.20, as we can see here. So I'm all for that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm all for owning more shares of Bitfarms for a significantly lower price than it's currently trading at the market. And this is because they want to avoid Riot Platforms from owning more than 15% of their shares. So if the poison pill does take effect on June 20th, right, then that means that Riot Platforms, who currently owns 12% of Bitfarms, would end up owning less than 12%, right? So that would be a good thing. And the rest of the shareholders, right, would end up owning more of Bitfarms. So our percentage of ownership of Bitfarms would go up, while Riot Platforms' percentage of Riot Bitfarms would come down, right? So all of this is something that Bitfarms discussed with their lawyers. So this is something that they are able to do in order to avoid a hostile takeover. So that's all. I'm all for that, ladies and gentlemen. I would love to own more shares of Bitfarms for free or for a very low price. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So that is good news for me. A lot of people are not seeing this as good news. So that is why the price of Bitfarms is going down some more, right? That is why I'm going to try to hedge my Bitfarms position by selling $2 put options from now on until this news is over. So that's what I'm going to try to do, right? So after September 10th, the company would issue fresh shares diluting the entity stake. Now notice here, after September 10th, the threshold would be relaxed to 20% as long as any takeover attempt meets certain conditions. So what does that mean? Well, Bitfarms is right here hoping that by September 10th, the share price would go up, right? Because they'll of course probably have a new CEO at that time, and they'll probably be operating at 12 exahash per second at that time, right? So their computing power will go up. So that will mean that most likely by September 10th, hopefully, Bitfarms share price would go up to $3 to $4, if not more than that, right? And also if the Bitcoin price itself, right, which is what these Bitcoin miners are mined, if Bitcoin price shoots up to 100K or 150K by September 10th, that will also bring up the share price of Bitfarms to past $5, I would assume. Okay, so that is what they're hoping for by September 10th. The share price would go up to $3, $4, $5, and the takeover attempt would meet those conditions, right? If Riot Platforms wants to buy Bitfarms at that time, then it would cost them more than the $950 million that they offered last month. Okay, so that is the certain conditions that has to be met. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so this is good news. The market is not seeing it as good news, but it's good news for me. I like it. And also another reason why shares of Bitfarms could be going down is because maybe this strategy is working already. Maybe Riot is already dumping some of the shares that they have from Bitfarms, right? They did buy some earlier when it was at $2.15. And who knows when they started buying Bitfarms shares. Bitfarms shares could have been under $2 when they started buying the shares of Bitfarms, right? So Riot Platforms right now could be dumping some of the shares that they bought at a cheaper price than what it is now, okay? So they could be dumping some of those shares and already losing some of that 12% stake that they have currently in Bitfarms. So all of this are possibilities. We don't know exactly what's going on, but for me, this is good news. I know Bitfarms is going to be around for the long term. So I'm going to continue to try to buy more shares of Bitfarms and continue to sell these options that I have on Bitfarms. Okay. So this is good news, ladies and gentlemen. I don't see this as bad news. The only thing that's happening from this news, I'll show you what's happening because of this news. Okay. The only thing that's happening to me personally, whoops, okay, is that my total return from the 1,200 shares of Bitfarms that I have right now, as you can see, this number has gone down, right? On my last video, it was at $100, under $100. Now I'm currently in the negative $408, right? So that's the only bad part about this news that came out. My total market value has gone down as well. All right. But remember, I have made passive income of $540 in the last 2 months. And in total, since I started using the wheel strategy with Bitfarms, I have made $831 now. $831 of passive income. So I've already covered this total return loss that I have of $408. So I'm currently still making a profit of over $400 in premiums that I've made by selling these options that I have on Bitfarms, calls and puts, right? So I'm going to continue to make more passive income, which is going to continue to cover this total return even more. Eventually, when this number starts to go back up again, I'll be making more of a profit at that time as well. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So the real strategy, it takes a little bit of patience. It's a short-term and long-term investment because short-term, because depending on if you're winning the options that you sold, you can always buy them back. So that could be the short-term play there. And it's long-term because you definitely do want to sell what you bought for a profit, for a capital gain. So that could take some time before the share price actually goes up to that price. But in the meantime, you're continuing to make passive income, right? By selling covered calls and cash secured puts. So not to worry, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you learned something from this video. If there's something that you don't understand, you can look back at some of my previous videos, or you could type some of your questions on the comments below. Also, nobody made any suggestions of what we should do once we pass the 100 subscriptions or 100 subscribers mark, right? So we've already passed the 100 subscribers mark. Please let me know in the comments below what you think that we should do. And if it is reasonable, then we will try to do those things. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, but for now, as always,
This has been another video from Dad's Market Stats. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like the video. If you know someone that can benefit from these videos, make sure to share it with them as well. Until next time, and remember, let's grow together.